suggestions offered here tonight are the opinions of the individual speaking and do not constitute legal or medical advice. No offense. I'm the one who usually gets in trouble. Mention of any product with both common and trade names does not constitute an endorsement, and do not discontinue medical care without first consulting with a qualified health care provider. It's a crying shame that we have to make these kinds of declarations because of the American Medical Association fear of natural products. And you may have heard that one of the forms of B6 has recently been removed from our supplements because Pfizer products has found a way to make a synthetic B6, and so now it's going to be illegal to take that particular supplement. Isn't that a crying shame? Well, our first speaker tonight is Keith Amelung. Keith, have Spade will travel, is a vegetable gardener, organic gardener, tomato grower, and really great all-around individual. He's going to talk to us about vegetable gardening, a very timely topic.
Yes, thanks for coming out tonight.
And I'm going to cut you off if it's too long. Because I know she's got a long.
Okay, very good. I brought some little business cards here. I won't get into this too much, but too much gratuitous self-promotion. But heirloomtomatoes.texas.com. Can't do too much because we've actually closed the website now. I ship tomato plants across the state, and you could have ordered yesterday, but not today. So I will have some of the leftovers, if you will. I grow about 9,000 plants, about 120 different varieties of old-fashioned tomatoes, and but I still have plenty left over for little garden sales and things like that that are coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. So we can do some fun stuff that way. And if you have any questions about stuff, there's some cards here. You can grab one after the meeting this evening. I didn't bring any pretty little handouts or anything like that, other than to say there are some great tips on my website, on the Heirloom Tomato site specifically. I wrote an article on heirloom tomatoes, which gives a little background about them, and there's also a tip sheet on growing tomatoes. There's 20 tips on there as well that you can print and harvest and plagiarize and take and use as your own, if you will. I also, with the new one, with my Have Spade Will Travel landscape consulting business, with that website there as well, I have a page on bed preparation, which we'll kind of gloss over here quickly because we got people, so I'm going to do this fairly short and sweet. But if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We had John Dromgold from Ladybug, out of Austin, the National Gardener in Austin, come out and speak to a group of nursery people. And he predicted that this next spring, that we're rapidly approaching, is going to be extremely huge for people growing their own vegetables due to economic considerations and many other things as well. And I expect him to be correct. I think it's going to be an interesting year for people growing their own food. And as I'm sure you guys all can appreciate the health of doing that and being in control of what type of pesticides and what things go on your produce. And what comes out of your yard and what we consume, and being in control of it, I think is very important, and it's something I've been practicing for a long time. And I love growing my own stuff, and very little of the produce or the plant material that I grow leaves my garden. I don't think there's anything better than green beans and Budweiser for breakfast. But I eat most of my I just munch as I'm picking. So I just love fresh stuff. And I had a gentleman comment the other day that his children love raw spinach. Freaks, but no, but they can't take it cooked. But they love it raw. And I go back to my first experience gardening, where my father helped me put in a little vegetable garden. Just told me I wanted to grow some squash for a school project, and so we took a little space, about 10 by 10 square. I'm guessing that was about yay big. And my grandparents had a dairy farm halfway between San Antonio and Houston. We went out and got a couple bags of cow pookie and worked that into the ground. And we planted crookneck squash, and I can't remember all, probably some corn, some other big things that my little fingers could work easily. And I remember my neighbor Earl from across the alley came over and gave us his 2 cents quite often. And Earl, I still remember to this day saying, you got to pick those squash when they're about this big, because that's when they're the most tender and the best eating. And I remember looking up at him like, are you an idiot? I'm not going to eat these. I just want one big one for show and tell. That's all it was about. And so Earl did me the favor, picking all the little ones and putting all the energy into one big squash. So I had this thing that was the size of my head to take into show and tell. So I still remember that, and I thank Earl for that to this day. Of course, now I'm in the mode of eating all the little bitty ones. So anyway, we're going to go through this fairly quick. When it comes to vegetable gardening, 99.9% of those things that we're going to grow for vegetables want to be in full sun, at least 6 hours of sun. If it's on the west side of your house, you can get away with 6 hours. If it's on the east side of your house, preferably 8. The more sun, the better. If you're trying to do tomatoes, as Jerry Parsons says, if there's a tree on the horizon, it's too close. Sun, sun, sun. And then, now we're talking about springtime, we're talking about fall. We can throw a little shade over things in the middle of summer as well. Now, if we're trying to extend, tomatoes can be tough in the middle of summer, but squash, trying to extend squash production, cucumber production, those types of things in the summer, some type of shade cloth isn't a bad thing. I get a little artsy in my garden, and I play around a lot, and I will grow pole beans, and I will grow taller plants on the west side, or other things to come up in shade. Other things, I do a lot of teepees, I use a lot of bamboo, do little weird bamboo structures, and grow fun stuff, just for my own purposes, to keep myself entertained. So site selection, choose a good sunny spot. There used to be an old retired colonel that lived down in Windcrest, and the only sunny spot he had in his yard was that little 3-foot strip between the sidewalk and the curb along the main drag. That was where his sun was, and that's where his tomatoes were. So of course, sure, he had to share with with the odd neighbor that would come by and help themselves. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. We mentioned earlier also containers. The nursery industry is fun. Folks go through these little cyclical periods of everybody asking the same question. And last fall was a kick for me because I was manager of a retail nursery in Bertie, and we had a couple acres of plants, and people would come in and say, "Well, can you grow that in a container?" And we look around, and about 3 acres full of plants in containers. And, I hope so. Yeah, you can grow anything in a container. It's just your job to remember to feed it. You've got to bring the cheeseburger to the plant. And of course, when we're dealing with veggies and things like that, we would like to use a natural, synthetic-free fertilizer. And there's several good brands. We are welcome. We're blessed here in this market that we have Medina, we have Ladybug, we have Gardenville, we have the Espoma company. We've got several choices in natural fertilizers that are all excellent for fertilizing whatever plant we choose to grow. And when we do things like that, when we do container plants, we have complete control over almost everything. And if you want to get into going into RO water, things like that, and trying to kill a blueberry, God bless you. But certain things belong here, certain things don't. I mean, our air is alkaline. Everything we have here is alkaline. So trying to grow blueberries is silly. But yeah, we'll try.